Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Under the Radar, a new series where I'm going to be taking a look at underappreciated movies, and movies that might just be forgotten about, thanks to the cruel mistress that is time. To kick this series off right, I've got a special guest. Without further ado, Mike from Did You See That?
Yo, Ryan, what is going on, man? Thanks for having me onto a collaboration as we talk about Mr. Nobody. Let's get into this.
I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid I haven't been alive enough.
It's a real pleasure to have him. So before we get into what this film is, the craziness, Mike, who's in this film?
For example, you've got Jared Leto. Maybe a little bit of a hot take for some people, but I don't mind him. You've also got Diane Kruger. You get Sarah Polly. And you've also got Rhys Ifans. And that cast alone is a solid lineup on paper. And also in the movie is also a solid lineup.
Definitely a star-studded cast, Mike, that's for sure. And just a little bit of a hot take of my own here. Jared Leto is a fantastic actor. At least in this movie. I'm certainly not a fan of his movies quite recently, but in Mr. Nobody, he absolutely shines. He really is the glue that holds this film together, which is a good job because this film revolves around him quite a bit. It is quite a complex story here, but in its simplest form. When humans become immortal, 118-year-old Nemo, Earth's last mortal, recounts his life story to a reporter, explaining various junctures of his life. So before I get into some points to why I love this film and why you should give it a watch, Mike, what struck you about this, Mr. Nobody?
Some great cinematography, some great world building. If you're not philosophical, you maybe by the end of this movie. And if you want to see some great acting, look no further than Mr. Nobody. How can we forget about the soundtrack by Pierre Van Dormels? That soundtrack alone is going to bring you into this world of, if it is just having one scenario with his mum, Nemo has a scenario with his dad. He sees a future of these outcomes. He sees what's going to happen, whatever path he chooses to take. And that alone, I think, is really unique and also kind of leaves you guessing and wondering about your future and an event in your past. If you took this route, where would that lead?
Definitely a great mention on the score there, Mike. Really immersing you, taking you on Nemo's journey. And just as also Mike mentioned there, I also love movies that make you think. And Mr. Nobody offers an introspective journey that you've likely just never been on in recent times with films. The movie will have you contemplating your life choices long after the credits roll. Just another one of the most remarkable aspects of Mr. Nobody is the breathtaking visuals. The cinematography, with its vibrant colours and stunning imagery, mirrors the kaleidoscope of emotions and realities. Whether it's from the nostalgic childhood scenes or the futuristic landscapes, the visuals here just immerse you in a dreamscape that will have you glued to that screen. But how about you, Mike? What is something else that you personally took from this movie?
As I mentioned, with that kind of different route scenario you could go down, if we changed something in our lives, respective in mine or in Ryan's, for example, something may have changed our lives at this point, at this moment, where something changed for us either for the better or for the worst. I mean, heck, we will never know. We're not Nemo Nobody. But it's certainly always a thought that sometimes can come into your mind and play on your mind also and wonder, where would I have ended up?
I definitely agree there, Mike, and I don't know about yous, but there's definitely moments in my life that I wish I could have took a different route. And as Mike mentioned there as well, we get entangled in just an infinite amount of possibilities. Each choice branching off into new directions and creating alternating timelines and raising profound questions. Beyond its philosophical musings, Mr. Nobody is a deeply emotional and poignant tale of love, loss, and the fragility of human connections, really capturing the beauty of the fleeting moments that go by every day and the ripple effects of our choices. So Mike, what are some of your closing thoughts on this film?
The final positive that I'm going to leave you guys on and hand it ultimately back to Ryan to round things out is this is a very imaginative, a very bold, and also a very daring movie. It takes risks, it builds in this very creative story of just pure imagination and so many different fears that it could actually bring out inside of you that you never knew you had. It also brings out many emotions that you feel may have not even been ones you've experienced before, or maybe you have, but maybe not up to that level that this movie really reaches. Mr. Nobody is definitely ambitious.
So while some viewers may find the non-linear structure a little bit challenging to keep track of, those who appreciate thought-provoking movies will be rewarded dearly. A little bit of deepness here for the first episode, but in a world that is just filled with predictable massive blockbusters, this movie is a real, just refreshing taste of the power of movies to provoke, inspire, and leave a lasting impact. I want to give a massive thank you to Mike for joining me here on this first episode. His link will be in the description. Please do go check him out. Leave your thoughts on this film and maybe some of your own underrated movies that might just be in this series. And make sure you do check out the next episode, which will be a movie that you wish you just had said yes to when it came out.